I need to tell someone what I did, and you're going to think I'm terrible, but there's something about being comfortable with someone that nobody understands until they've been in a relationship long enough to watch the butterflies die. I said I settled for him, out loud, to my best friends, at brunch, and he heard about it before I even finished my mimosa. The worst part about what happened isn't that he left. It's that I didn't realize how much I'd been lying to myself about what settling actually meant until I came home to an apartment that looked like it had been professionally staged to break my heart. He didn't just pack his things. He took back every bit of himself he'd ever given me, including the good morning texts I'd been getting every single day for 4 years. But I'm getting ahead of myself. If I don't tell this story the right way, you'll never understand why I said what I said. And once you know what I know about relationships and social media, and the difference between what we tell ourselves and what we actually feel, you'll see why those words came out of my mouth in the first place. I'm going to tell you everything, including the fact that I'd said worse things about Marcus before, just never where anyone could trace it back to me. And the part that makes me look worst, I'm saving that for the end because you need to understand how we got here first. Marcus and I met the normal way people meet now, which is to say we met the boring way. Dating app. His profile was fine, not exciting, just fine. He had a dog in one picture and was holding a fish in another, which should have been a red flag for unoriginality, but I was tired. 29 and tired in that specific way that makes you swipe right on fine instead of holding out for extraordinary. Our first date was at a coffee shop. He showed up exactly on time wearing a button-down shirt that looked like he'd actually ironed it. He asked me questions about myself and seemed genuinely interested in the answers. He laughed at my jokes without trying to top them with his own. He didn't mention his ex-girlfriend or make any comments about my appearance that were trying too hard to sound like compliments but were actually just observations about my body. I remember texting my friend Ashley afterwards, "He's nice. Really nice." "I don't know if there's a spark, but maybe I'm too old for sparks." She wrote back, "Girl, nice is underrated, go for it." So I did. And for a while nice was enough. Nice was him bringing me soup when I had the flu. Nice was him remembering that I didn't like action movies and always letting me pick what we watched. Nice was him getting along with my parents and my friends and never making me feel anxious about where things were going because he was clear about wanting a relationship from the start. We moved in together after a year and a half. It made financial sense. We were both spending every night together anyway, and my lease was up and his apartment was bigger. That's how I explained it to people when they asked, and looking back, I should have noticed that I was leading with logistics instead of love. But here's the thing about comfort, it feels like love when you've been uncomfortable for long enough. My ex before Marcus had been the kind of guy who kept me constantly off balance, never sure if he was actually my boyfriend or just someone I was sleeping with who sometimes held my hand in public. Marcus was stable. Marcus was predictable. Marcus was there, and for 2 years there was enough. I wasn't unhappy, I was just, I don't know, content. Is that the same thing as happy? I convinced myself it was. The problems started so slowly I didn't even recognize them as problems at first. Little things, like how I started staying late at work not because I had extra projects but because I didn't feel a pull to rush home. Or how when my friends asked what Marcus and I did over the weekend, my answers were always some variation of nothing much, just hung out. I started noticing other couples more. The ones who looked at each other like they were still discovering new things. The ones who laughed about inside jokes. The ones who seemed excited to see each other even after years together. Marcus and I had inside jokes too, I guess, but they were mostly just references to TV shows we'd watched together. And we laughed, but it was comfortable laughter, safe laughter. The kind that doesn't require anything from you. I joined Instagram around our 3-year mark. I know, late to the party, but I'd always thought social media was kind of stupid until I realized everyone I knew was living their entire lives there and I was missing out on something. Some kind of connection or validation or I don't know what. I started posting pictures of Marcus and me. Cute couple shots, him kissing my cheek at a restaurant, us hiking together. The two of us dressed up for a wedding. And people liked them. Not just liked them, but really responded to them. Comments about how cute we were, how lucky I was, how they wanted what we had. And this is where things get complicated because those comments felt good. Really good. Better than the actual moments in the photos had felt, if I'm being honest. I started curating our relationship for an audience, posting the highlights, and somewhere in that process, the online version of us became more real to me than the actual us. Just when I thought I'd figured out how to be happy in my relationship, or at least how to look happy, my college roommate Emma got engaged. To a guy she'd been dating for 8 months. 8 months. Marcus and I had been together for over 3 years and he'd never even hinted at marriage. I didn't realize how much that bothered me until Emma called me squealing about rings and venues and asked me to be a bridesmaid. I said yes, obviously, and congratulated her, and the whole time there was this weird feeling in my chest like something was being squeezed. That night, I looked at Marcus sitting on the couch in his ratty college sweatshirt, watching some documentary about World War II, and I felt nothing, not anger, not love, not even mild affection, just nothing. Do you ever think about getting married? I asked him. He looked over at me surprised. Sure, eventually. Why? Emma got engaged. That's great, he said and turned back to the TV. Eventually. He said eventually like it was a place we might get to someday if we kept driving in this direction without any real urgency or intention. And I realized I didn't even know if I wanted to marry him. I just wanted him to want to marry me. I started spending more time with Ashley and my other friend Bree. Girls' nights became girls' brunches, became girls' weekends. Marcus never complained. He was happy to have the apartment to himself, happy to let me have my space, happy to be accommodating and understanding and all the things a good boyfriend should be. And I started to resent him for it. Isn't that terrible? I resented him for being exactly what I'd wanted when we met, stable, drama-free, consistent. The conversations with Ashley and Bree started to change. At first, we talked about normal things. Work drama, family stuff, celebrity gossip. But gradually, I started testing the waters with small complaints about Marcus. How he never wanted to try new restaurants. How he'd been wearing the same 5 t-shirts in rotation for years. How he still thought a nice date night was Olive Garden. They laughed. They commiserated. They started sharing their own relationship complaints, and it felt like bonding. Like we were all in this together, learning to live with the gap between what we'd imagined love would be and what it actually looked like in practice. I mean, he's a good guy, I'd say. He's just not very exciting. Does he have to be exciting? Ashley would ask. My last boyfriend was exciting and he cheated on me with a CrossFit instructor. Fair point, I'd concede, but the resentment kept growing. I'd catch myself looking at Marcus and cataloging all the ways he disappointed me. He breathed too loud when he slept. He loaded the dishwasher wrong. He never planned surprises. His idea of dressing up was wearing jeans without holes in them. I stopped posting photos of us as much. When I did post, I'd filter them heavily, make sure the lighting was perfect, write captions that sounded more enthusiastic than I felt. The comments still came, still validated our relationship, but now they felt hollow. Like everyone else believed in us more than I did. Here's something I haven't told anyone. I started swiping on dating apps again. Not seriously, I told myself. Just looking, just seeing what else was out there. Just reminding myself that I still had options. I never met up with anyone. I want to be clear about that, but I had conversations. Flirty conversations. The kind that made my heart beat faster in a way it hadn't in years. The kind that made me feel seen and interesting and desirable instead of just comfortable. Marcus never suspected anything. Why would he? I was still there every night, still sleeping in the same bed. Still splitting the grocery bill and watching TV together and doing all the normal relationship things. I just wasn't present anymore. I was somewhere else in my head, imagining different versions of my life with different people. Emma's wedding was scheduled for October. As it got closer, the engaged couple posts on social media multiplied. Everyone was getting engaged or married or having bobbies, and I was still just Marcus's girlfriend, living in this holding pattern of contentment that was starting to feel like suffocation. Do you ever wonder if we're missing out? I asked Marcus one night. On what? He was scrolling through his phone, not really paying attention. I don't know, passion, adventure, that feeling of not being able to keep your hands off someone. He looked up then, confused. We have a good thing. Why would we want to mess that up chasing some fantasy version of a relationship that doesn't exist in real life? And the logical part of my brain knew he was right. The logical part of my brain understood that sustainable relationships are built on compatibility and respect and shared values, not just chemistry and excitement. But the illogical part, the part that had been watching too many romantic comedies and scrolling through too many highlight reels of other people's seemingly perfect relationships, wanted more. I started saying worse things about Marcus to my friends. Not mean things exactly, just true things that sounded worse when I said them out loud without the context of all his good qualities. He's never once surprised me with flowers. I told them at brunch one Sunday. Have you told him you want flowers? Bree asked. I shouldn't have to tell him, he should just know. They nodded sympathetically, but I could see something in their eyes. A little judgment maybe, or concern. Like they were starting to realize that my complaints weren't just normal relationship venting anymore. I didn't care. It felt good to say these things. It felt good to position myself as the long-suffering girlfriend who was making the mature choice to stay with a guy who was good on paper even if he wasn't everything I'd dreamed of. The week before Emma's wedding, I went dress shopping with Ashley and Bree. We got mimosas at this trendy brunch place downtown, the kind with exposed brick and Edison bulbs and a 45-minute wait for a table. The kind of place Marcus would never pick because he'd say the portions were too small and the prices too high. We were on our second round of drinks when Ashley brought up her new relationship. She'd been dating this guy for 3 weeks and was already completely obsessed. She showed us texts and photos and told us stories about their dates, and her whole face lit up when she talked about him. That's how you know, she said. When you literally can't stop thinking about them. When your whole day gets better just from seeing their name on your phone. I took a long sip of my mimosa. I can't remember the last time I felt that way about Marcus. Well, you've been together for 4 years, Bree said. That butterflies feeling doesn't last forever. But should it feel like nothing? The words came out before I could stop them. Should it feel like I'm just going through the motions with someone I'm comfortable with but not actually crazy about? They both looked at me, really looked at me. Are you saying you're not in love with him anymore? Ashley asked carefully. And this is the moment. This is where I should have stopped. Should have recognized that I was tipsy and emotional and about to say something I couldn't take back. Should have changed the subject or excused myself to the bathroom or literally done anything other than what I did next. But I didn't stop. Because in that moment, with the validation of my friend's attention and the liquid courage of bottomless mimosas and the ambient envy I'd been nurturing for months about everyone else's seemingly more exciting relationships, I wanted to say it. Needed to say it. Honestly, I think I settled. Like Marcus is fine, he's a good guy. If I'm being really honest, I settled for him because I was tired of dating and he was there and he was nice, and now I'm just stuck. The words hung in the air. Ashley and Bree exchanged glances. Do you really feel that way? Bree asked. Or are you just having cold feet because of the wedding stuff? I don't know, I said, which was the most honest thing I'd said in months. I just know that when I think about the rest of my life, I want more than fine. I want what you have, I said to Ashley. That excitement, that passion, that feeling like I won the lottery. We talked about it for another hour. They were supportive but careful, asking me questions about whether I'd talked to Marcus about any of this, whether we'd considered couples therapy, whether I was sure I wasn't just romanticizing the honeymoon phase that eventually fades in every relationship. I deflected all of it. I wanted their validation that my feelings were justified, not their advice on how to fix things. And they gave it to me, sort of. They said things like you deserve to be happy and life's too short to be with someone you're not sure about and you have to follow your heart. I left brunch feeling vindicated, justified, like I'd finally been honest about something I'd been feeling for months and the world hadn't ended. My friends still loved me. They understood. They supported me. I stopped at Target on the way home to pick up some things we needed for the apartment. Took my time browsing, feeling loose and light from the mimosas and the confession. I texted Marcus that I'd be home around 4. He texted back, okay, just okay. Not sounds good or see you then or any of the small affectionate things couples usually say to each other, just okay. And even that annoyed me, which I recognized was deeply unfair but couldn't seem to help. I got home a little after 4, unlocked the door to our apartment, walked inside, and everything was wrong. Not messy wrong, the opposite, too clean, too empty, like someone had come in and selectively removed pieces of our life together with surgical precision. Marcus's shoes were gone from by the door. His jacket wasn't on the hook. I walked further inside, my heart starting to pound, and that's when I saw it. The living room looked like a showroom. His PlayStation was gone. His stack of books from the side table, his ugly blanket that he'd had since college that I'd always hated but that he loved. The framed photo of us from our trip to Colorado last year. I dropped my Target bag, walked to the bedroom, his side of the closet empty, his dresser drawers empty, the bathroom missing his toothbrush, his deodorant, his stupid electric razor that sounded like a lawnmower every morning. On the kitchen counter I found a note, handwritten on regular notebook paper, which somehow made it worse. If he typed it, it would have felt less final, less real. I know what you said at brunch. Ashley's boyfriend is friends with Jake from my softball team, and he told me about your conversation about an hour ago. I don't think I could adequately express in writing how much it hurts to hear that the person you've spent 4 years of your life with, the person you've built a home with, considers you something they settled for. I've moved my stuff to my brother's place. I'll come back for the rest when you're at work. I don't think we should talk right now. Maybe not for a while. I just need you to know that I never settled for you. Not once, not ever. I chose you every single day, even on the days when you were difficult or distant or clearly somewhere else in your head. I chose you because I loved you, not because you were convenient. I hope you find whatever it is you're looking for. I hope it's everything you think you deserve. Marcus, I read it 3 times. Then I sat down on the floor and just stared at the wall. He was gone. Actually gone. He packed up 4 years of his life in the span of a few hours and removed himself from my existence like he was defusing a bomb. The panic didn't hit right away. First came denial. This was an overreaction. He'd cool down and we'd talk and I'd explain that I didn't mean it the way it sounded, that it was just brunch talk, just girl talk, just me being dramatic after too many mimosas. Then came the math. Ashley's boyfriend was friends with Jake. Jake told Marcus. Which meant Ashley had told her boyfriend what I said and he'd passed it along and now Marcus knew. But how much did he know? Just the settling part, or everything? I pulled out my phone and called Ashley. Hey, she answered, bright and cheerful. Did you make it home okay? Did you tell Tyler what I said about Marcus? Pause. Oh shit, I mean I mentioned it, I didn't think. He told Marcus. Marcus packed up and left. What? Oh my god, I'm so sorry, I didn't know they knew each other. Tyler just texted him randomly about something else and it came up, I guess. I didn't tell him to say anything, I swear. But it didn't matter how it happened. It happened. The words I'd said in what I thought was a safe space had traveled through the world's worst game of telephone directly to the person I'd said them about. I hung up with Ashley and just sat there in the too quiet apartment. Started noticing all the spaces where Marcus's things used to be. The empty spot on the coffee table where he kept his water bottle. The gap in the kitchen where his favorite mug had been. The absence of his laptop charger snaking across the floor. He'd been so thorough, so complete in his removal. Like he'd planned it, which meant he'd come home, heard what I said, and immediately decided I wasn't worth a conversation or a fight or even a chance to explain. And that's when the anger hit. Who was he to just leave without talking to me? Who was he to make this huge decision unilaterally after 4 years together? Yes, I'd said a shitty thing, but he was proving my point by being so dramatic about it. If he really loved me, wouldn't he want to work through this? I called him. It went straight to voicemail. Texted him, can we please talk about this? Nothing. I know I shouldn't have said what I said, but you leaving without even talking to me is crazy. Nothing. Marcus, please, 4 years has to mean something. Nothing. I spent that night cycling through every emotion. Anger, sadness, regret, defensiveness, back to anger. I didn't sleep. I just lay there in our bed, my bed now I guess, staring at the ceiling and replaying every moment of the past 4 years, trying to figure out where it went wrong. The next morning I called in sick to work. Couldn't imagine going in and pretending to be functional. I spent the day on the couch, scrolling through photos of us on my phone. We looked happy in all of them. We looked like people who belonged together. Had I been lying to myself, or had something actually changed? And if it changed, when did it happen? Was there a specific moment I could point to and say that's where I stopped loving him, or had it been a slow fade I didn't notice until it was too late? My phone kept buzzing. Ashley and Bree checking in. My mom asking if I was okay because Ashley's mom had told her something happened. A few other friends who'd somehow heard through the grapevine that Marcus and I broke up. Broke up. Were we broken up? He'd left, but he hadn't said the words. Maybe this was just a break. Maybe he needed space to process and then we'd talk and figure it out. I clung to that hope for 3 days. Then I came home from a half-hearted attempt at going back to work to find more of his stuff gone. He'd come while I was out, just like he'd said he would. Taken his desk, his monitors, his winter coats from the hall closet. He'd left the furniture we'd bought together. The couch, the bed, the kitchen table. I didn't know if that was generous or cruel, like he was leaving me the stage but taking himself out of the play. I texted him, I know you don't want to talk, but we need to figure out the lease and bills and stuff. He responded this time, I'll keep paying my half through the end of the lease. After that you can have the place or find someone to take it over. Whatever you want. That's not what I want to talk to you. I don't think that's a good idea right now. When will it be a good idea? No response. Emma's wedding was in 2 weeks, I was still a bridesmaid, still expected to show up and smile and celebrate love while my own relationship crumbled. The irony wasn't lost on me. I thought about backing out, claiming I was sick or had a work emergency. But Emma had been one of my best friends since college, and this wasn't her fault. So I bought a dress, got my hair done, and showed up. Marcus wasn't there, obviously. Emma barely knew him, but everyone else did. Everyone knew we'd broken up, and I could feel their eyes on me all night. The pity, the curiosity, the judgment. Ashley got drunk and apologized to me 4 times. I should never have told Tyler, I'm the worst friend in the world. It's not your fault, I told her, and I mostly meant it. I shouldn't have said it in the first place. But should I have not said it? Or should I have not felt it? And what's worse, being honest about your feelings even when they're ugly or pretending everything's fine when it's not? I watched Emma and her new husband during their first dance. They looked at each other like they'd invented love, like everyone else in the room had disappeared, and I felt hollow, because Marcus used to look at me like that. In the beginning, he did. I was the one who stopped looking back. After the wedding, I went home alone to the apartment that still smelled faintly like his cologne even though he'd been gone for 2 weeks. I looked at my Instagram, at all the photos of us I'd posted over the years, at the carefully curated narrative I'd built about our relationship. In the photos, we looked perfect, happy, in love, and hundreds of people had validated that narrative with their likes and comments. They'd believed in us. Maybe I'd believed in us too, or at least in the version of us that existed in filtered squares on a screen. I started scrolling through the comments on our most recent couple photo from 3 months ago. You guys are so cute. Relationship goals. When's the wedding? When's the wedding? Someone had asked that, and I'd responded with a winky face emoji like it was coming soon, like it was this fun secret we were keeping. But the truth was I didn't know if I'd even wanted to marry him. I just wanted the proposal, the ring, the validation of being chosen, and he had chosen me. Every day, like he said in his note, I was the one who hadn't chosen him back. 3 weeks after he left, I went on a date. A guy from one of those apps I'd been swiping on. He was exciting, unpredictable. He took me to a trendy restaurant and told me stories about his travels and asked me questions that made me feel interesting. I went home with him. I'm not proud of it, but I did. And it was exciting and passionate, and all the things I'd told myself I was missing with Marcus. It also meant nothing, absolutely nothing. I left his apartment at 2 in the morning feeling worse than I had when I'd arrived. Because here's what I figured out: I didn't actually want passion and excitement. I wanted to want them. I wanted to be the kind of person who needed those things, who couldn't settle for comfortable and stable and safe. Because that seemed more interesting, more romantic. More like the relationships I saw on social media and in movies. But the truth, the real, ugly truth that I've been avoiding this whole time is that I loved Marcus. I loved him the whole time. I just convinced myself I didn't because being madly in love with someone steady and predictable didn't fit the narrative I thought my life should have. I wanted my relationship to look a certain way, feel a certain way. Be the kind of story I could tell at parties that would make people lean in with interest instead of nod politely. And when it wasn't that, when it was just good and solid and real, I told myself it wasn't enough. I texted Marcus, I made a mistake. The biggest mistake of my life. Can we please talk? He responded 2 days later, I don't think so, I need to move on. I love you. I know I didn't act like it, but I do. You loved the idea of having a boyfriend. You loved how we looked together. You didn't love me, not really, and I deserve someone who does. He was right, that's the worst part, he was completely right. I spent the next 2 months in this weird limbo, going to work, coming home, existing. My friends tried to set me up on dates. I went on a few, they were all fine. The guys were fine, everything was fine, and I hated fine. Finally understood what Marcus had been to me all along, not settling. But something I was too stupid and shallow to appreciate until it was gone. I stopped posting on Instagram. Couldn't stomach the performance of it anymore. Couldn't pretend my life was anything other than what it was, a cautionary tale about mistaking comfort for complacency and throwing away something real for something that looked better from the outside. I ran into Marcus 4 months after he left. At a grocery store of all places, he was with someone, a woman I didn't recognize. She was laughing at something he'd said, and his hand was on her back in that casual, comfortable way that used to annoy me when he did it to me. He saw me. Our eyes met across the produce section. He gave me a small, polite nod. Not cruel, not angry, just, done. I nodded back and turned away before either of them could see me cry. That night I finally responded to all the people who'd been asking me what happened. Posted something vague on social media about growing apart and wishing him well. The comments poured in. You deserve better. His loss. You'll find someone amazing. But they were wrong. He was the someone amazing, and I lost him. Here's the thing I haven't told anyone until right now: I didn't just say I settled for him at brunch that day. I'd been saying it for months, to anyone who would listen. Every small complaint, every time I pointed out his flaws, every eye roll when he did something that was perfectly fine but not exciting enough for me, I was building a case for why I was too good for him. And I believed it. I actually believed that I was doing him some kind of favor by staying, that he was lucky to have me, that I could do better if I really wanted to. The truth is he could do better. And apparently he did. I still live in our apartment. I didn't have the energy to move. Sometimes I still find his things. A sock that fell behind the dryer, a book he forgot on a shelf. Each discovery feels like a small punishment. People tell me I should date again, that I should put myself out there, that I should learn from this and move forward. And maybe I will eventually, but right now I'm still processing what I learned. I learned that comfort isn't the same as settling, that stability isn't boring, it's rare. That the butterflies everyone chases are just anxiety in a prettier package, and they're not what keeps you warm when everything else is falling apart. I learned that you can convince yourself of almost anything if you tell the story enough times. That social media will validate whatever narrative you're selling. That your friends will support you even when you're wrong because that's what friends do. I learned that saying something out loud makes it real, even if it wasn't true before you said it. That words have consequences. That some things once spoken can't be taken back. Mostly I learned that I'm the kind of person who destroys good things because they don't look enough like great things. Who mistakes presents for granted. Who doesn't know what she has until she watches it walk away. Marcus is happy now, I think. I hope he is. He deserves to be with someone who chooses him every day, who doesn't keep one foot out the door just in case something better comes along. I'm not that person. I don't know if I'll ever be that person, but at least now I know what I am: someone who said she settled, and learned too late that she was the one who wasn't good enough all along.